Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Using Your Brain for Success, the show that's all about helping you build a better life by using your brain the right way. I'm Liam Naden and I'm glad you're here. In this episode we're going to dive into something pretty deep, which is the true meaning and purpose of your life. Now at some point, perhaps many times, you've probably found yourself asking the questions, what's life all about? What's the purpose of my life? Why am I here? What's going on? And even, what's really the point of life at all? Well, these are questions that people have pondered probably for as long as humans have been able to think. And it's certainly something that has occupied some of the greatest minds and thinkers. In fact, there have been countless books written on the subject. People have developed entire philosophies and even religions around trying to answer the question, who am I and why am I here? Now, it's also a question that we tend to ask when we're feeling frustrated with our life. It's when we're overwhelmed by problems or just feel that life is getting on top of us and becoming too hard to handle. That's when we often stop and think, this all seems to be pointless. What's going on? Well, if you've ever wondered about the meaning of or purpose of your life, you're going to find this episode very interesting, because what I'm going to share with you will help you see clearly what the purpose and meaning of your life really is. And if you haven't guessed it already, it has something to do with your brain. So what I'm going to share with you is from a perspective you might not have thought of before, but I think you're going to find that it makes a lot of sense. Okay, so let's get started. And the place to start, of course, is by asking the question, who are you and what are you? Now, trying to answer this question brings up all sorts of philosophical, spiritual, religious, and even scientific explanations, descriptions, theories, and ideas. But all of these approaches can be controversial because not everyone is necessarily going to agree with all of the ideas. And so all this really does is create debate and discussion and can make finding the answer even more confusing. So I'm not necessarily disagreeing with other points of view, but in this show I want to stick to things that we can all agree on when we look at the question of who we are and why we're here. And there is in fact something that we can all agree on when it comes to human life and experience, and that is, on a basic level, we are all biological beings. Now that might not be all that we are, but we can all agree that we all live in a physical body. We're here in a physical world. We're experiencing life, at least to some degree, on a physical level. So there must be a reason, there must be a purpose for our physical life, a reason why we have a biological, physical aspect to who we are, why we have a body. And the clue to our physical purpose is to be found in the rest of nature, because we as humans share the same characteristics as all other forms of life. So if we look at physical life, all life, including our own, what is its purpose? Well, it's simply this, and it's something that all biologists agree on, and that is the purpose of life is to experience itself and create more life. In other words, life exists simply to ensure the survival of the species by creating more life, by reproducing and ensuring that the form of life it takes continues on. So your life purpose, on a very fundamental and physical level, a biological level, is to play your part in ensuring the continuation of the human race. This means to reproduce and help others in the species to reproduce as well. I mean, Marcel Glisser put it well when he said, life is a form of material organization that strives to perpetuate itself. And Steve Davis said, the purpose of life is life. To elaborate, the purpose of life is to produce further life. Now this might all sound a bit flat and disappointing. After all, surely there's more to life than that, than to simply reproduce and to create more life. Surely there's more to us and our reason for being here than just the physical and biological. Well, of course, that's true, and this is where it gets exciting. There is a lot more to who you are and to the meaning of your life, but the key to understanding it is to first understand how everything works on a physical level. And of course, as you've probably thought by now, this has a lot to do with your brain. Okay, so let's dive a bit deeper into your biological purpose and see how it reveals your true and higher purpose. In other words, the reason why you are here and why you even exist. Firstly, let's just consider the implications of what reproduction and ensuring the survival of the species as a biological purpose of life, what all that actually might mean. Now, one thing I want to clear up first, which you might have been thinking, is you might be thinking, well, hang on, reproduction can't be the purpose of every human being. What about the people who don't or can't have children? What about the people who are alone or in single-sex relationships or who are past reproductive age, if you like? Does that mean their life is pointless? Well, no, of course not. And in fact, that wouldn't make sense from a biological point of view. But you don't have to have children yourself to play an important part of the survival of the species, because you contribute your resources in other ways, such as enhancing the safety and comfort of the community that you're a part of. And you use your wisdom, your knowledge, your skills, your ideas and your attitudes, all of these things that help ensure the betterment of the species. All right, but let's look closely at what reproduction on a biological level actually is. So when you're reproducing, what are you actually creating? And what are you actually ensuring survives? Well, it's not your physical body, is it? I mean, you're not actually creating a clone of yourself. But what you do when you reproduce is that you pass on the information about who you are and what makes you human. You're passing on a code, if you like. And that code of information about who you are, which is a blueprint of your life, is contained in something called your DNA. So it's your DNA which gets reproduced when you reproduce. So what is DNA? DNA is actually a chemical that exists in the nucleus of every cell in your body. And in fact, it's something that all living things have, and it's contained inside every living cell of every species. And this DNA takes the form of a long string of molecules, and it literally contains the unique code of everything about you. So it's like a recipe book, if you like, that holds all of the instructions for making you the unique individual that you are. So your DNA contains the blueprint of who you are, and it's what you pass on to your children in combination with another human being, the other parent, of course. Now, this DNA stuff is absolutely incredible. I mean, if you thought some of the things I shared with you in the last episode about your brain were mind-blowing, wait until you learn about your DNA. Because this chemical, and if you want to visualize it, it's made up of two strands of molecules which are joined together so that it almost looks a bit like a ladder twisted into a spiral. And these strands of molecules, they contain more than 250 million pieces of information, and they are identical in every cell of your body. So that's 250 million pieces of information about you. Everything about you and every single thing that makes you similar but unique compared to every other human being who's ever lived. And you know, if you were to stretch out these strands of molecules that are contained in each cell, each of these ladders would be nearly 1.2 meters or nearly 4 feet long. That's just in one cell. Now you multiply that by 75 trillion cells, which is about how many you have in your body, and your DNA, all of the information about you, would, if you stretched it out, would be more than 75 million kilometers or 50 million miles long. That's how much information about you and only you that you carry around inside your body. Absolutely incredible, isn't it? So all this information, it's about what makes you unique physically, but also mentally and emotionally. Things like what you like and don't like, what you're good at and what you're not good at, what makes you happy or stressed. Everything about you is stored inside your DNA. Okay, well, let's change gears here a bit and just think about this for a moment. If your biological purpose is to ensure the survival of the human species, either through passing on your own genetic information, which is in your DNA, or helping others to do that, then don't you think nature would have set things up for you to be able to do that? Don't you think there would exist in nature everything you needed for the best chances of survival of a species, any species, including the human species, including you? Well, of course, nature has done that. In fact, nature's provided you, along with everyone else, the most powerful tool to make sure that you have the best chances for surviving and ensuring survival of the species. And that tool, of course, is your brain. In fact, the real and only purpose of your brain is to make sure you complete your biological purpose, which is not only to stay alive, but to have all the conditions necessary for you to be able to create more life. Now that makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, if the whole point of you being here from a biological perspective is to survive and reproduce, then surely there must be tools that have been developed or designed for you to be able to do that. And yes, that tool is your brain. But here's the most important thing to realize, and it's just think about this. What gives you the best chance to survive, reproduce, and ensure the survival of others? The best chance? Well, your best chance of surviving and reproducing and ensuring the survival of others comes when you're at your best. Because when you're at your best, you survive and thrive. It's also sometimes called the survival of the fittest. And what does being at your best really mean from a biological perspective? Well, it means you being your strongest, your healthiest, and also your happiest. Because the stronger you are, the better you're able to fight off threats and attackers from a biological point of view. You can build shelters. You can hunt for and gather food. And of course, we're talking here at a sort of a primitive, basic level, but the principles are very true. And when you're healthy, well, you have a strong immune system. That means you can fight off disease and recover more quickly from infections or illnesses. You're less likely to be injured, and you recover faster from any injury. And you can run faster, you can run for longer, you can survive the cold and heat better, and you need less to eat. And being the best you can also means, and we often forget this, it also means being your happiest. Now why? Because the happier you are, not only the better your body functions, but you think better as well. You're more resourceful, you're more creative, you're more optimistic, you have better and more good energy, and you're also more loving and protective of others. So from all of this, you can reach really only one conclusion, and that is, if your biological purpose is to give yourself the best chance for your survival and the continuation of life, and your best chance of doing this is by being your strongest, healthiest and happiest that you can be, then the purpose of your life is to be the strongest, healthiest and happiest you can be. And your brain is the tool that has been provided for you to do that. Now really think about that for a moment. The purpose of your life, the true purpose of your life, is to be the strongest, healthiest and happiest you can be. And your brain is what you use to make sure of that. Your brain is sitting right there between your ears, designed to use its enormous power for only one purpose, to make sure that you are as strong, healthy and happy as you can be. Well, isn't that great to know that you're actually supposed to be strong, healthy and happy? You're not supposed to have problems. So of course you're probably thinking at this point, well, okay, Liam, so why do I have problems? I mean, if my brain is working to try and make me strong, healthy and happy, then why aren't I? Why do I have so many problems and why do I have so much stress in my life? Well, of course, we're going to talk about why that is in much more detail in later episodes as to why we literally have problems in our life. But for now, just consider this idea. Do problems and stress make you stronger, healthier and happier? Do they? Well, on every level, they don't. They actually do the opposite. Stress and problems, they damage your body. They get in the way of your creativity and they shut down your resourcefulness and your ability to live fully. Now, I know you've heard that, problems and adversity, they're great, they make you stronger. But that's not actually true. In fact, like so much of what we think is true, it isn't true. I'll share with you the reasons why it's not true and why the true effects of hardship and stress are bad and not good and not part of our biological purpose. I'll share all that with you in a later episode. But the fact is that problems and stress interfere with your ability to live out your biological purpose. So they're not a part of your biological purpose. And in fact, they're simply the result of you using your brain the wrong way. Your brain is not designed to bring you problems and stress, But of course, like any machine, if you use it the wrong way, it's going to create problems for you. It really is as simple as that. So your biological purpose, the meaning and purpose of your life, is to be the best you can be. Your strongest, your healthiest, your most resourceful, your happiest, so that you have the greatest chance to survive and create more life. And you do that with the assistance of your brain. Now, I know I've thrown a lot at you in this episode, a lot to think about. But don't worry, the more you learn about who you are and what your brain is and its role in your life, the clearer things are going to get. And the more fulfilling and exciting your life becomes. The better your life flows, and everything just gets better. We'll be covering this in more depth in later episodes. But for now, if you can, just stop what you're doing and become aware of this moment. Of course, if you're driving your car or exercising or even listening as you're out walking, it might not be a good idea to stop what you're doing. But you can stop your thoughts. You can stop all of the mental chatter that rocks around inside our heads most of the time. You can bring your focus and awareness to the present moment. And you can notice, really notice, that you're right here and it's right now. There is no other time or place. And thanks to the incredible power of your brain, you're able to experience all of the wonderful beauty and power of this present moment. You're able to experience the precious gift that is your life. And as you let go and just allow your awareness to settle on the present moment, think about the marvel that is your physical body. It's your body, and locked up in every single cell of the more than 75 trillion cells that your body is made up of, there are more than 250 million pieces of information about you. Everything about you, about who you really are. And about the fact, the truth, that you are an incredible and unique expression of an infinite intelligence that is the cause of everything that exists. And think about your brain. It's a machine, if you want to call it that, that's far more powerful than any other known machine in the universe. A machine whose sole job is to make sure that all of the conditions are in place for all of the 250 million pieces of information which make up the essence of you, for all that information to be passed on through eternity, either directly or through your contributions to other members of the human species. And the best way your brain can do this is by making sure you're at your best, your strongest, your healthiest, your happiest, your most resourceful, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Your brain knows exactly how to make that happen. It knows far more than you do, than what you think you do, about how to be happy and healthy and live your true life purpose. It knows exactly what to do to enable you to live your life at the highest level, living to your full potential. Remember, you're not here to struggle. Your purpose is never to be stressed, worried or afraid, or dealing with problems or obstacles, or anything that is making you unhappy. All of those things are simply taking you away from your purpose. You're here to thrive. You're here to be the fullest expression of who you are, to experience life as it really is, which is a continuous flow of love and joy. And all you need to do is to let your brain create it for you. That's all for this episode of Using Your Brain for Success. I look forward to sharing with you in future episodes so much more about how you can truly create an extraordinary life using the incredible power of your brain. In the meantime, if you'd like to learn more about creating success in your life, visit my website, liamnaden.com. There you can also learn about neurostate rebalancing, which is a technology which automatically gets your brain working the right way to solve problems and create a life you love. So I look forward to connecting with you again soon. Bye for now.